Despite being located in a region of economic growth, this isolated nation remains one of the poorest and least developed countries on Earth. In this video, we will explore how North Korea became so crazy poor and what factors contributed to its economic decline. Get ready for a journey through history, politics, and economics. Let's dive in. Going back in time will help us comprehend the causes of North Korea's current level of economic deprivation. Following the end of World War II, Korea was split in half, with the Communist North remaining separate from the Democratic South. Kim Il-sung was the dictator of the North, and during his rule, the country was governed in a Stalinist fashion, with all authority and resources being vested in the state. Collectivization and forced industrialization were two of Kim's initiatives that were implemented with the intention of swiftly modernizing North Korea and achieving self-sufficiency. Then again, they brought about inescapable starvation, concealment of the political framework, and disengagement from the remainder of the world. Quite possibly, the most devastating occasion in North Korea's set of experiences was the starvation of the 1990s because of a blend of cataclysmic events, financial blunders, and political separation. The breakdown of the Soviet Association in 1991 denied North Korea of its fundamental wellspring of help and exchange, causing an extreme lack of food, fuel, and unrefined components. Simultaneously, the public authority focused on military spending and atomic weapons advancement over regular citizen needs, prompting further monetary downfall and social turmoil. The starvation, which endured from 1994 to 1998, is assessed to have cost up to 3.5 million deaths and left a lot more malnourished and powerless. After the passing of Kim Il-sung in 1994, when his child Kim Jong-il assumed control over the administration, Kim Jong-il proceeded with his dad's strategies of centralization and detachment, yet confronted new difficulties like the ascent of China as a worldwide financial power and the fixing of global approvals on North Korea. Despite some attempts at economic reform and opening, such as the establishment of special economic zones and limited marketization, North Korea remained heavily reliant on foreign aid and trade to sustain its population and elites. Today, North Korea's economy is heavily dependent on China, its only major trading partner. However, the trade relationship is imbalanced, with North Korea exporting mainly natural resources such as coal and minerals, and importing food, fuel, and luxury goods. Moreover, China has been reluctant to fully enforce the UN sanctions on North Korea, partly to avoid destabilizing the regime and creating a refugee crisis. As a result, North Korea has been able to evade some of the economic pressure and maintain its nuclear ambitions, but at the cost of stagnation and poverty for the majority of its people. The focus that the North Korean dictatorship places on self-sufficiency and ideology rather than on pragmatism and innovation is another element that has led to the country's economic collapse. The Juche philosophy, which was established by Kim Il-sung and keeps on being the authority philosophy on the state, puts an accentuation on the Korean race being superior and the necessity for independence in all aspects of life. This has resulted in a culture of isolationism and fear of the impact of outside countries, all of which impede innovation, entrepreneurial endeavors, and the advancement of scientific knowledge. In addition, the state exercises command and control over practically every aspect of economic activity, including commercial enterprise, manufacturing, and agriculture, under a command and control structure. As a consequence of this, there is inefficiency, corruption, and improper distribution of resources, in addition to a lack of incentives for innovation and productivity. In spite of these obstacles, a number of knowledgeable individuals believe that North Korea has the capacity to develop into a successful and dynamic nation if it implements the appropriate reforms and opens itself up to the international world. For instance, North Korea possesses a sizable quantity of natural resources, a population that is highly educated, and a location that is advantageous relative to China, South Korea, and Japan. In addition, recent events such as the historic meeting between Kim Jong-un and the South Korean President Moon Jae-in, as well as the ongoing negotiations with the US over disarmament and sanctions relief, provide some optimism for a peaceful and prosperous future for North Korea. In the historic summit, Kim Jong-un and Moon Jae-in discussed the possibility of denuclearization, How did North Korea get to be such an insanely poor country? This is a convoluted tale that encompasses many different aspects of history, politics, and the economy. The domineering autocracy of Kim Il-sung from the Soviet Association and the Juche philosophy's accentuation on independence, neutrality, and restriction are only a portion of the various hindrances that North Korea has needed to survive, which have added to the nation's all-stale monetary development and the boundless destitution of its population. It remains to be seen if North Korea will be able to break out of its economic and political isolation and catch up with the rest of the world, despite some recent signs of openness and reform, such as the meetings between Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one.